I'm Adeline Lopez.
I'm Nicholas Snyder.
Sorry, his name is spelled backwards. His own fault. For our speech, we decided to talk about Queen Elizabeth I and the Spanish Armada. But before we get into the speech and the depth of it and why we chose it, I thought it'd be important for you guys to know some of the history of why the Spanish Armada happened. So to start off, who was Queen Elizabeth I? She was one of Britain's most famous monarchs. She was born September 17, 1533. People described her as beautiful, intelligent, and extremely political. She reigned from 1558 to 1603. She ruled alone for nearly half a century. She was born at Greenwich Palace to Anne Boleyn and King Henry VIII. King Henry VIII was notorious for having a lot of different wives. Some of them, most of them, he got beheaded. Others, he would divorce and he would remarry again. Based on her father's sixth wife, Catherine Parr, she arranged for Queen Elizabeth to have some of the best tutors, as well as for her brother, Prince Edward, and she had a half-sister, Mary. Now, Mary and Elizabeth didn't get along. Prince Edward and Elizabeth were like brother and sister, inseparable. When he took the throne, he invited her to court, but Mary was always kind of outcasted and shoved away, even though Mary and Queen Elizabeth were both proclaimed by Parliament to be illegitimate child of King Henry VIII. Because of her father's numerous wives and accounts and affairs, Elizabeth grew up seeing all of that, and she quickly tossed away the idea of anything such as true love or love at first sight. She was more into her books, politics, her education. And because of that, it is said that Queen Elizabeth has been said to have been married to the crown and her people and nothing else but that.
Well, our speech is about Elizabeth's speech about the Spanish Armada. And the Spanish Armada came from the King Philip II of Spain. He was born on May 21st, 1527, and he was married to Mary Tudor, but he had a thing for Elizabeth. Well, at his request, sorry about that. At his request, Mary Tudor reconciled that insistence of Philip with her sister, Princess Elizabeth. So in 1558, November 17th, Queen Mary I died, and Philip wanted revenge, and he held some feelings for Elizabeth and started furious, angry at her for refusal of his hand in marriage. So he sent a major armada to attack England.
Okay. King Philip also tried to get Queen Elizabeth to marry him, but she denied. She didn't want anything to have to do with any Ferdinand based on the influence of her father. So what was the problem? The main issue here was the Protestant v. Catholic regime of religion. There was a constant battle over who would have the superiority of religion in England. Also, there's said to be that the main problem was also because of trade. The Spanish ships were rumored to have been more powerful than the British ships and the British Navy. And also, as soon as England adopted the Protestant faith, because Elizabeth was Protestant, she was moved up in the row. Mary, her half-sister, was Catholic, and she ended up marrying King Philip. He was also Catholic. He was lenient towards Elizabeth. Mary always said, you know, Elizabeth can't be trusted. She's not a nice person. She can't do this. And eventually, people stopped seeing Mary as the Queen of England, and they lent more to Elizabeth. Elizabeth was loved, recognized, and even though Elizabeth dressed more plainly and Mary dressed more with jewels, when Elizabeth did that switch and she became more involved with her look, her appearance, she would wear fancy gowns, big jewelry. People didn't call her a show-off or someone misusing her power like they did with Mary. There was also threats of invasion from abroad, like Spain and I think it was Italy also. So I'm not really sure about that one. But it was rumored that the Armada was Philip's revenge for the death of Mary. Mary was sent off, because she couldn't bear a child, Mary was sent off to Scotland, where she is rumored to have been executed, although there are some that say she died of cancer. She was executed, and that's where the myth comes of Bloody Mary from her story. So the Spanish Armada.
Well, in the 1500s, ongoing rivalry of sea battles for sea trade from Americas to Europe. England and Spain was the biggest competitors between each other. Well, King Philip II decided to settle the question who has the most power, who is the head trader in the New World, by sending an armada. And so he built up this largest naval fleet ever and sent it against Queen Elizabeth in England. However, when they went to the strait, there was a storm, a squall, whatever, a major storm, and destroyed a bunch of the ships, leaving the English ships, warships, ability, which is smaller, more sleek, and more quicker, to go around the damaged ships and wipe out the rest of the fleet that survived and did not sink to the bottom of the sea.
The Spanish Armada was also rumored to have one important task over anything else. They were to go into England and overthrow Queen Elizabeth. That way the Spanish would be in power. However, like Mike said, their plan failed horribly. The speech.
My loving people, we have persuaded by some that are careful in our safety, to take heed how we commit ourselves to armed multitudes, for fear of treachery. But I assure you, I do not desire to live to distrust my faithful and loving people. Let tyrants fear. I have always so behaved myself that under God I have placed my chiefest strength in safeguarding loyal hearts and goodwill of my subjects. And therefore I am come amongst you at this time, not as the recreation or sport, but being resolved, in the midst of the heat of battle, to live or die amongst you all, to lay down for my God and for my kingdom and for my people, my honor and my blood, even the dust. I know I have but the body of the weak and feeble human woman, but I have the heart of a king, and a king of England too. And think the foul scorn of Parma or Spain or any prince of Europe should dare to invade the borders of my realms, to which, rather than any dishonor should go up by me, I myself will take up arms.
The Spanish